Alright, so it's time for some more Cyberpunk 2077 and update 1.2. You know, that update that we were supposed to get this month. Well, it seems that it's still on the radar because we just got a brand new development insight that details some of the things that we should expect from update 1.2, including some cool stuff regarding like upgrades to the police system. We also have a few ones for the driving and the way you unlock cars, and then there's also one for the way you control your character and remapping of the dodge button, among other things that we will discuss here in this video. As always, if you enjoyed these at any point, it would be super awesome if you left a like on this video, and let's jump right into it. But what is new in Night City is the title of the development insight, and it shows like 4 videos showcasing the differences between the current patch and what's gonna be in patch 1.2, starting with the NCPD, the AI, and the quick response team, which was definitely quick in the full game, as it would instantly spawn in front of you as soon as you would commit a crime. Well, there is a slight change to that in patch 1.2, as we can see from this video right here. It kind of starts with a crime being committed, and at one point we can see that one of these bots appear. Now, the reason why I'm saying that the change isn't as big as you might think is because the only difference I'm capable of noticing is that now the police AI spawns a little bit further back rather than right in your face. I guess it makes sense. This is probably how other games handle it too, but they do a much better job at kind of like hiding it and not putting it right in front of you. It's still a little bit jarring in my opinion. I'm not really sure if this is going to be the final iteration, but as you can see, the police officer right here doesn't immediately spawn in front of you. It's a little bit further back, but it's still probably not going to be the full iteration that we're going to want to see in the game. Nonetheless, you heard right, the NCPD quick response team is under fire from concerned 9 citizens and corporations alike. The rapid deployment tactics they recently adopted forced mercenaries to think twice before pointing a gun at anyone, but will now be adjusted to give the other side some breathing room. So without going over all the blabber right here in the article, this is an important step in addressing the behavior of the police in our game. It should decrease the problem of NPCs spawning behind players' backs and create an impression that it takes some time for the police to arrive at the crime scene after the crime has been reported. We've also added a recon drone unit to create a feeling of the police assessing the situation, according to the lead gameplay designer. Hopefully this isn't going to be the final iteration, because it just looks a little bit too painful for the amount of time that we waited for the new update. But there's more. There's actually more, including for the vehicles. There's actually 2 updates for the vehicle. The first one is obviously going to be in regards to the control that you have over the sensitivity of your driving. So now in update 1.2, you're going to get 2 additional controllers over there, 2 sliders that will deal with steering sensitivity, as well as a few other things in there too. But mainly this is similar to one of the mods that we had almost since day one, which should make that loss of control not happen as often, if you get what I'm trying to say. Now, if you play the full game, sometimes when you try to like steer left to right and whatnot, as the video showcases, you would sometimes lose control pretty easily over the car. Well, with the sensitivity changes, hopefully that's not going to be the case anymore, and it just feels a little bit more tight. That's how it is going to feel in update 1.2 if you adjust it with the settings. Now, analyzing feedback on our driving model suggested a lot of players were having issues with the speed of the steering. Most complaints came from players using keyboard on PC or were on platforms with lower frame rates, and centered around how hard it was to keep cars off the sidewalk and such. We have added a steering sensitivity slider to the options menu. This allows the steering speed for all vehicles and all input devices to be slowed down without affecting the maximum turn radius. When experiencing lower frame rates, our cars were harder to control. We traced this to some code that wasn't handling extreme changes in frame rates properly. So what CD Projekt Red did is that they made the steering speed to now be very consistent between 20 to 60 plus FPS, which is a good change. Last, we looked at a bunch of tweaks to individual cars and adjusted some of them that are too twitchy in low frame rates, including the player's arch hella. Now, in update 1.2, there's going to be another change to the way you unstuck your car, especially if you find yourself in one of of these situations where you get kind of too much on top of one of these rails and neither of your wheels, either in the front or in the back, get to touch the ground, so you're kind of stuck and you can only abandon that vehicle. Well, it seems CD Projekt Red did add a wobble kind of mechanic where you can move back and forth, left to right, and kind of unstuck yourself from the situation, a little bit similar to GTA. GTA also has this. I'm not really sure if it works over rails, but it does work in the case of Cyberpunk right here. So yeah, gone are the days when you're gonna be stuck with a car. There are cases where our vehicles can get beached or high centered on stuff in Night City. We have now added an unstuck feature that kicks in when you are accelerating and not moving. While holding down the accelerator, you can now rock the vehicle forward or back or rotate it left to right. It's a little bit too sensitive from my opinion, from what I'm seeing from the trailers, but yeah, at the very least it exists. Now the final bit is going to be about the way you control your character. So this is going to be a way to unbind your double click arrow or direction key that also forces your character to, well, in this case, dodge. This was like a really big concern for everybody because there was no way to unbind that function. So in the new update, that's totally gonna be possible. You can even remap these buttons that have to deal with your character movement. So according to the notes, dodge and double tapping a movement key can be turned off in the control settings in update 1.2. The dodge action can still be performed by double tapping the crouch toggle action key, which is default C, or if you play like how I'm doing it, it's probably gonna be a different one. Like I definitely like control over the C, but it is what it is. It should now be more feasible to move WASD bindings around the keyboard. There still remains a few bindings that need to be addressed, but these should be fixed in upcoming patches. Thank you for tuning in to What's New in Night City. We'll see you next time. So I guess this is how we're gonna deal with announcements, at least for the time being, before update 1.2, in a very lore friendly and immersive kind of way, be it if you hate it or not. Now what you need to know is that previously update 1.2 was, yeah, it was delayed from February 2021 to March, and the recent statement on the matter was the fact that CD Projekt Red wanted to work a little bit more on it, bring better updates and fleshing out the game a little bit more. Our goal for patch 1.2 goes beyond any of our previous updates. We've been working on numerous overall quality improvements and fixes, and we still have work to do to make sure that's what you get. With that in mind, we're now aiming for release in the second half of March when talking about patch 1.2. So what this means is that I'm fully expecting the update to release in the last few days of the month of March. That's been pretty much the case with not just Cyberpunk 2077, but pretty much with any game that mentions the second half of a certain month. It's always going to be the last week and possibly the last few days of the month, because those technically still qualify in that time period as well. So totally expect this to drop either on the 26th, next Friday, or maybe even on the 29th, or starting that date on Monday, pretty much the last 3 days of this month. But this is it with the update for Cyberpunk 2077. Of course, stay tuned for more because there's going to be a lot more incoming when the new update drops. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.